Hey guys, what's up? It's Justin, aka Diego, doing my video for the weekend. If you guys didn't know, I'm trying to set up a schedule for a video every weekend, so always check back every weekend. We'll have a new video up for you. Be something. Today, we are talking about the 4.1 changes, patch 4.1 changes, the Grand Crusader changes, all that stuff, how it affects our rotation. A lot of Prot stuff, a little bit of ret stuff. But before we get into that, that's going to be our main topic. But before we get into that, I just want to cover some other stuff. A lot of people have been asking to do a lot of, for me to do a lot more PvP oriented videos. And just so you guys know, I am not a PvP type of player. I'm just not. I'm very casual. I play very casually PvP. And that video I did, that live commentary, was just a fun thing. I could do that again if you guys want to see that again. But a lot of people have been asking me about some PvP questions, and I'm not a PvP paladin. Like I said, if you want some very casual advice on how to gear and stuff like that, I could give you how I do it, but it might not be the right way. Like I said, I just do it for fun. I don't really like arenas. I tried to get my PvP weapon, the tier 2 weapon, the good one, which requires a 2200 threes or higher, and I got, I think the highest I got was like 1900, maybe 2k. So I didn't get it, and like I said, once it gets to that point, it gets a little bit too serious for me, and I just start to not really have a lot of fun. So I like pwning noobs in random BGs. I don't do rated BGs. So if you guys want to see some more live commentary, me emoing out and raping some noobs, we could do that. But other than that, don't expect too much for PvP videos, because I'm not really a PvP paladin. I love the PvE atmosphere of it. So that's all I got for that. So let's talk about some 4.0. Let's get my UI up. Boom! Any UI questions? I have UI videos, you guys. Please stop spamming me for UI questions. Check my videos. I have fucking 3, 4, or 5 videos of my UI. You can find all my add-ons on my other videos. 4.0.1 or 4.1. I don't know why I keep putting the O in there. Fucking cock and mouth. The Grand Crusader change, what I want to talk about primarily, but let's talk about the Word of Glory change. That was a nerf, a huge nerf, and basically they changed it. If you don't know this, Blizzard hasn't officially announced this, but we all know why they changed it. They changed it for Ret Paladin PvP, because Ret Paladins with Selfless Healer, this talent right here, were being able to Word of Glory people 3-4 times and basically change the sway of the battle with a couple lucky procs, and made a losing a game that looked like you were losing, or you're starting to lose the grasp of the game, just completely swayed the battle, and you started fucking people up because you were able to bring a healer from almost death to full life with just 2 Word Glories. So they put a 20-second cooldown on it for all specs. I believe Holy might have some way to make it so it doesn't actually have a cooldown. Not sure. Don't know about Holy. You guys can correct me about Holy, but anyway, so they nerfed it for Ret Paladin PvP, which obviously affected Prot Paladin PvE, which really sucks. So basically what I have done is I've spec'd out of Eternal Glory. Yes, Eternal Glory will still benefit you for threat and survivability, because obviously if you are going to use Word of Glory, there is a chance that you are going to get that Holy Power back, aka you won't have to generate 3 more Holy Power to use your Shield of Righteousness again. But with me personally, with the change to Grand Crusader, you are able to generate Holy Power at a much higher frequency, so you're able to use your finisher, your Shield of Righteousness, on a lot more frequent basis. So having to regenerate a whole new 3 Holy Power, it doesn't take as long as it used to back in the day when we didn't have the Grand Crusader change. So I don't feel that it's a huge necessary TPS increase to spec Eternal Glory, even if you are planning on using Word of Glory to heal yourself a lot. So what I personally done, spec'd out of Eternal Glory, only put 1 point in the Grand Crusader. I currently had 2 points in there. My last spec, if you didn't know, I had the 2 points out of Seal of the Pure and into Eternal Glory, and I put an additional point in the Guarded by Light, and I got that point from here. So basically I took that additional point out of Guarded by Light and put it into Rule of Law for a little bit extra threat. Yeah, and then obviously for glyphs, I unglyphed Word of Glory. But for progression, I would assume that you guys would want to spec Eternal Glory, maybe 2 points into there, and then Glyph, Word, or Glory. But this is what my standard spec looks like. I just still use this spec for progression, and it's worked fine. My survivability works fine. You know, Paladin cooldowns are pretty strong, especially fucking guarded by Guardian of the Ancient Kings. It's pretty ballsy. So let's talk about the rotation. I've had a lot of people ask me what's the rotation, blah blah blah, how do you do threat, I'm bad, teach me to be just like you, Diego, and I will help you. No, I'm just kidding, I'm not that good, kind of, maybe I am, only sixth best ret paladin in the world. That's an inside joke. The inside joke is I got the number 6 ret paladin parse in the world on Magma, and I was just kind of just doing my own thing. I even had to jump on the head and whatever. So just patting myself on the back here, trying to make myself feel better. So what I'm going to start out by doing is showing you guys how I pre-pull. And pre-pull is important because that's it's probably the hardest time to actually keep threat off of your DPS, because they're popping all their cooldowns as soon as they can to maximize their DPS throughout the whole duration of the fight. And your vengeance hasn't stacked up, and vengeance is probably the most important thing to a tank, along with your survivability and being able to properly do your rotation. So vengeance is a very important part of tanking, and not having that in the initial 30 seconds of the fight really can you could significantly see your TPS numbers a lot lower in the beginning of the fight than out throughout the duration of the fight, just because like I said, it hasn't stacked up and you don't have that extra attack power. So what I do personally is, I'll click it here for you. What I'll do is I'm going to Divine Plea, Avenging Wrath, and then as soon as the Divine Plea cooldown's done, I Avenging Wrath, Avenging Shield, Judgment, and then I'll be in melee range, and then I'll be able to Shield of Righteousness, and then go into my normal rotation. The rotation really hasn't changed. You want a Crusader Strike every other ability. So if you use something other than Crusader Strike, that means the next ability should be Crusader Strike. So if you use Judgment, your next ability should be Crusader Strike. If you use Avenger Shield, your next ability should be Crusader Strike. If you use Shield of Righteousness, your next ability should be Crusader Strike. So stuff like that. And the way the Grand Crusader proc works is, the nice change about Avenger Shield just in general is anytime you Avenger Shield, you have a chance to get a Sacred Duty proc, which is awesome. So Judgment is even further down on our priority list, because Judgment used to only be there basically for 2 reasons: Sacred Duty and a little bit of mana regen. Well, our only mana regen, I should say. So Judgment was pretty high, but now it's not so high because we have Avenger Shield to actually proc Sacred Duty. So it's really nice. I really like that change. And another thing that makes Grand Crusader even more overpowered is, unlike Crusader Strike, is when Crusader Strike gets dodge parried. Excuse me. Gets dodge parried, all that shit, you don't generate holy power. If Avenger Shield misses, you still get the holy power, which is really nice. So it makes it #1 priority. Grand Crusader, Avenger Shield is #1 priority, unless you have 3 holy power, because you don't want to generate an additional holy power that you can't use. So you always want a Shield of Righteousness, obviously, on 3 holy power. So the opener, let's do it. Divine Plea, Avenging Wrath, Avenger Shield, Judgment, Shield of Righteousness, and then just go into it. Crusader Strike, don't have anything. Oh, we got a proc, cool. So we're gonna Avenger Shield, Crusader Strike. We got another proc. Oh, we got parried. See if we can still use it. Yep, we're good. Crusader Strike, Judgment, Crusader Strike. Oh, almost used fucking Holy Wrath there. So I'm getting a lot of procs here. Thank fucking God. But without procs, let's see what we look like without procs. So you see, I'm still Crusader Strike every other ability. Avenger Shield, gonna Shield. So obviously you're not going to Crusader Strike when you have 3 holy power. So if you have Crusader Strike off of cooldown, you're not going to Crusader Strike at 3 holy power, because you already got 3 holy power. You don't want to generate additional holy power. It's no point. Use your Shield of Righteousness. Stop getting parried. But the one thing that you might see happen is, if you have 3 holy power and a Grand Crusader proc, you might get parried, like right here. If I consistently just get parried on my Shield of Righteousness, you might see that Grand Crusader proc go away, and you might not be able to utilize it. That's just bad RNG. Nothing you can do about it. Just take that shit on the chin and just keep doing your rotation. Crusader Strike every other ability as much as you can, and then so that's that's what I do, and my threat's fine. I don't know. You guys have any questions about that? Looks pretty simple, right? And then I personally, I have people ask me about consecrate. I don't ever use consecrate in single target rotation. It's a waste of mana. Even if you are spec hollow ground, it's just a waste of a global cooldown because it's just such minimal threat. A lot of boss fights acquire a lot of moving, so even if you do use it, there's a good chance that you move the boss out of your consecrate and he doesn't get the full. He doesn't take the full damage because he's just not standing in it the whole time. So it's just kind of dumb. So the one thing that you just have to, you really have to pay attention to this rotation because sometimes you do get parried. If you're at 2 holy power and you're going to Crusader Strike and you expect that Crusader Strike to land and you think your next ability is going to be Shield of Righteousness, but then that Crusader Strike gets parried or dodged or something, then, you know, I mean, you're kind of, you know, you might have stuff on cooldown, you might not be able to use some other abilities, so you just have to wait. So you really have to pay attention to be like, okay, so if this Crusader Strike does land, then I am going to Shield of Righteousness. If it doesn't land, then I have to use this, so on and so forth. So yeah, that's the single target rotation. Let me do the AoE target rotation. It's really simple. I'm just going to do this for clarification. I am going to switch my Hammer of Righteousness to my Crusader Strike and put my Crusader Strike over there. And what we're going to do is the exact same fucking thing, except for Crusader Striking every other ability, we're going to Hammer Righteousness. So let me clear my Holy Power. Let's get a Word of Glory. Alright. Okay, so we got 5-6 mobs on us, okay? So Hammer Righteousness. Crusader Judgment. Hammer Righteousness. Judgment. Hammer Righteousness. Shield of Righteousness. And that's it. And if I wanted to work in a consecrate, you just probably work that in after your hammer. So like right here, you could consecrate, judgment. I should have hammered, but I mean, it's basically the same rotation, and you just swap the 2 combo point generators. It's that simple. Hollow ground or not doesn't really matter. You are going to generate more AoE threat with hollow ground, but like I said, it's dependent on how much you're moving. If you're doing a lot of moving, like I tend to do, a lot of mobs can't stand it the whole time. So that's basically it. That's what I do. That's what's been successful in my personal opinion. If you guys have any critiques, please hit me up. Other than that, that's all I got. Oh, one last thing I did want to say is the other change that they did to Ret was Divine Storm, giving a holy power if it hits 4 or more targets. And this is pretty awesome because it was kind of silly because Rets were still using Crusader Strike rotations on, you know, 4, 5, 6 mobs. So now, you know, it lets us do a little bit more AoE damage, and it lets us be a little bit more viable on those AoE ad fights like Magma, Maloriak, so on and so forth, and not gimp us because, you know, we can't generate that holy power. So now we can, so that's really nice. Other than that, that's all I got for you guys. Messages, hit me up via YouTube on my page, personal messages, whatever you want, and I'll be sure to get back to you when I got some time. But hope you guys have a good one. I'll catch you next time. Have a good day. Later.